whatever human resource development efforts are made and whatever has been achieved through such efforts will have reflections, will have implications in organizations. So in this unit, we will try to see what is the impact of such developmental efforts. Broadly, it will cover the human behavior, because twice it is mentioned there, human behavior, human personality, diversity and gender bias, how it is handled, and theories of motivation, theory and practice, and finally, role concept and analysis. Behavior is influenced, as all of us know, by variety of factors. Basically, it is environment. The behavior of the people in Mongolia will be definitely different from India, and Russia will be different from probably in Africa. Primarily, it is the environment. If you are in a cold weather, cold climate, the behavior will be one, and in totally summer or in the Saharan desert, the behavior will be different. So environment has got a lot to play. Economical, social, and political environment. The behavior in a dictatorial country and the behavior in a democratic country will be entirely different, as we know. Then personal factors, the age, the sex, the education, the abilities, gender, marital status, number of dependents, all those things also affects the behavior. Then organizational factors, the physical facilities, organizational structure, leadership, compensation, rewards. Many factors affect the behavior of the people. And psychological factors, the personality, the perception, the attitudes, the values, and learning, etc. So it is endless. How a human being behave, I think still they have not found out what is the clue for that, the key for that. There are 7 billion plus people in the world. How each one will behave at a particular point of time is unknown even to himself or herself. What to speak about others. What way it affects us in organization where we are meeting, or in the home front, or in society at large. Behavior at work, individual differences have to be appreciated. Trait theory says something, usage of brain, and the gender bias, all these things are assuming a lot of importance in the current setup. Now, individual personality differences have got a lot to say about it. Basically, the personality of an individual is divided into type A personality and a type B personality. It's easy to understand the type A's because they have been mentioned as workaholics, time urgency, go-getters, and partially insensitive. Any person who is goal-oriented and highly focused on that, highly strung on that, is a type A. It's a lot of relevant for our branch and bank situation. It's better to identify where we belong. Are we a type A? Whether the opposite fellow is a type A. Because that will determine our peace of mind, our blood pressure and everything concerned, our health itself. Today we are passing through a stage that most of the things which we never thought of in the past are available with us. But we are all unhappy in our own manner, organizationally, domestically, and nationally. Why is it so? Probably because the type A behavior predominates rather than type B. Point for worth considering. Contrast the type A with the type B, very placid, humane, and it has been mentioned, he has no time, hurry, but still he completes his job. It is not the type B fellow does not complete the job, but the manner in which he completes the job is important. There are some people who runs inside the train thinking that the train will reach faster. It does not. When you are on a journey, the driver is driving the car, but the backside driver will be shouting at the driver as to why don't you go faster and faster. How fast he can go in a traffic like in Mumbai? He can't do anything about it. Only thing, instead of increasing the blood pressure of the driver or his own blood pressure, nothing is going to happen. The long-term success is important. The studies have shown, by and large, that type B people often have been more successful than type A. This is for you to study. You take the case of people who have risen to top in your own organization, or in the country, or in the state, or in any field, and judge yourself which is most suitable for going up. There is no finality on that. One cannot say the type A has not achieved or only type B achieved, but it is individual for the individual to judge the type B or type B. My personal view is that type B will be successful in the long run because of variety of reasons. Knowing the type will be useful in dealing at all places. This is important from our angle. As an individual, you judge yourself, you identify yourself whether you are a type A or whether you are a type B. This is much more than from the examination angle. If you are a type A, your work style, your work outlook will have a far-reaching impact on your colleagues. And if you are a type B, definitely it will have a different impact. So having identified the personality at the personal level, now we have to understand how the personality develops over a period of time. Because whether it is type A or type B, there will be something, the genes will have to do something, our parental influences will be there. If the father was, type A or mother was type A, there is a possibility even the child will be type A. Or the other way also is possible. So from the childhood, how the personality develops: trust, autonomy, initiative, industry, identity, intimacy, growth, and integrity. A child, for instance, how the child grows. The child has got an immense trust on its parents to start with, or teachers. Let us take parents only for the time being. A child implicitly trusts the parents. Will we trust now anybody implicitly? Often an example is quoted. If a child is made to stand on a window and asked to jump, the child will jump without having a further thought about it. Today, if we are asked to stand on a window and asked to jump, will we jump? Definitely not. So what is the difference between a child and an adult here is the child trusts the parents at a particular point of time without any type of hesitation. So this Erickson has given some 8 steps in regard to the personality development, more of which can be seen in the book because it will have its own impact from the examination angle. There are some theories which talks about personality, especially the Freudian theory. Sigmund Freud. He has made pioneering work in psychoanalysis, psychoanalytical theory of Freud, founded on psychoanalytic elements with id, unconscious, ego conscious, and superego, conscience. One is consciousness, the other one is conscience. All these terminologies are important. And the unconscious, they say most of our thought process come from the unconscious thing. Most of the actions, like an animal for instance, animalistic tendencies are there even in, after all, human beings are also stated as, they are considered as the social animals. So from the unconscious, certain decisions happen, and that has got its own implications. That is what Freud says. That is why in the Freudian technology, they try to analyze the mind of the people to his subconscious, to find out what were his childhood memories, what exactly he has undergone, and that has prompted the current actions. Second point is the ego, the rational part of it, rational up to a particular level as he understands as of now. The third one is the ethical, the superego or the conscience or the ethical. Today we are having a dilemma in regard to most of the action, whether it is ethically correct or not. Ethics in business. Somebody was jokingly saying, this word itself is a misnomer. How can there be a business without ethics? So now we are talking about ethics in business. That means there can be a business even without ethics. Now ethics in management, ethics in business, ethics has become a central subject in most of the qualifications, most of the educational setup. The trait theory, on the other hand, lays down that every human being comes to the world with certain basic traits which is inbuilt into them. So based on that, the behavior is analyzed either aggressive or loyal or pleasant or cool or impulsive. Nobody blames him for some of this action by saying it is his trait, it is his nature. So that is another way of looking at it. The third one is a self-concept theory. Each person has got a concept about himself and that drives it. Either he good, bad or whatever it is. Then lastly it's a social learning theory. Environment conditions the personality. All of us know that the environment has a lot to play in our molding. Those of us who have had education in different fora will know that today we are molded. We may not be able to say who contributed to our current state. From where we have picked up certain ideas, what has prompted us to be what we are today, it will be difficult to visualize. So that is the fourth one. Now this takes to another important area called the personality and the brain usage. The brain, of course, it has been always mentioned on the left side of the brain and the right side and left hemisphere. These are all important from the examination angle. Kindly make a note of it. Left hemisphere is about logical, the thinking and the working part of it, whereas the right hemisphere, they say, the emotion, the art, music and the relaxation. Most of us are, they say, uses our left side of the brain. They say even when the headache happens, it starts from the left side because we uses most of the left hand side of the brain. Anyway, this is what the medical studies indicate. And it's also said that we are not using our right side of the brain sufficiently. So an endeavor should be made to have some type of a relaxation, art, music, relaxation. That all helps in stress management. Most of the executives are now undergoing stress management programs. It has become part and parcel of the organization. Many of the organizations are encouraging people to take leave, to undergo such programs so that they will be rejuvenated, they will be relaxed. In fact, it has been found that today the success has brought about its own stress. Being successful is stressful. You look at any successful man, somebody was telling the other day, the face looks so serious. A message is conveyed, success means stress. On the contrary, a successful fellow should be very happy actually. Or probably successful fellow want to continue with success. That may be making it stressful. Anyway, an important point about how the brain is used. This takes us to another important point in our organization. How do you deal with diversity? All of us, when we join an organization, take the case of a country like ours, it's so diversified or diverse. People from Kerala on the one side and the Kashmir on the other side, Bengal on the third side and Gujarat on the fourth side. It is diverse like anything. Their educational backgrounds, though they may be studying more or less same thing, the educational system, everything is different in their own manner. And they come to an organization and they become a group. Now how to achieve the group cohesiveness? Even the food habits itself is totally different. The dressing habits are different. Even though there are some common standards nowadays, everything is different. So how do you bring about the cohesion? Then disabilities. People are not having the same type of background, a rural background and the semi-urban and the metro background. It brings about diversities of a different level. Family background, age, lifestyles, culture, ethnic background, and even countries in MNCs. Suppose if it is an MNC bank, for instance, even for companies like Infosys and all, there is staff from across the world. We are not able to manage properly even the staff from one country, one state itself, one city itself sometime. What to speak about when such a diversity happens. This will call for diversity enlargement, diversity sensitivity. We should become sensitive. To take the case of countries like America, for instance, how they have assimilated people from various parts of the world. Totally contrasting. So that is where I think the subjects like diversity enlargement, diversity sensitivity and cultural audit will have to be conducted to see how the people function, how they are able to work together in teams and other things. A subject which has assumed a lot of attention is gender bias. More and more women are in jobs now. It's going to only increase. It can even become 50% or 60% in the days to come. Special needs of them to be met on the one side, especially in institutions like banks and all. Predominantly it used to be male dominated. Predominantly there are issues related to that, branches are far flung, security issues are there. So many operational issues can crop up. So gender sensitizing is attempted to avoid harassment at workplace. Women harassment has assumed the dimension which was not thought about maybe 10 years back or even 5 years back. So to that extent, a sea change is needed at many places. There were reports the other day that in many organizations, special programs are conducted to people to sensitize this important area. Now this takes us to a very important area now called the motivational theories. Motivational theories, whenever we talk about motivational theory, we are reminded of Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow have done pioneering work stating that a person's need can be divided into broadly 5 heads: physiological, safety, social, self-esteem. All these things are self-explanatory, and finally self-actualization. Today we are in a particular point of time. The employment is quite reasonable. The salary and perks are comfortable. People have got more or less everything whatever they want. Even though the needs are unlimited, most of the needs are met. People are having houses, a mobile, cars, ACs, whatever you want, reasonable comforts are there. That is another fact that people with more and more want still more and more, and they feel unhappy in a different field. But that is only because they have not been able to achieve self-actualization. Even with all richness at their particular command, they are not able to say how much is sufficient. Nothing is becoming sufficient. Like Alexander of years, even with all the land at his command, the person kept on acquiring. And where did he reach finally? So the history has not taught us anything. All of us know that life is for a limited period. And whatever riches we amass also will not last. It will not continue with us. But still people crave for it. So they have not been able to achieve the fourth part. Probably some people may be acquiring more and more riches, thinking that they will give them self-actualization. Probably when Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan, or when the pyramids were built by the then kings, they must have thought that by building that some type of self-actualization takes place. So for individuals, Maslow theory is very, very important. Now physiological needs are totally met, safety needs are firstly met, social needs are also met, self-esteem is also brought about. A large number of people are having top positions. Everything is there. The first 4 is available. But more or less most of the fellows are unhappy. In larger forum it has been said, Go to some spiritual meetings where 10,000 people attend from different orders, but they ask the basic question, how to be happy. With all these things, one is not happy. That means the last point has not been achieved.